I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. So, fellas, congratulations. We're staying right on schedule, right on time as we move forward for this special edition of I Mix What I Like live, the 8th annual 2020 Annus Horribilis Supercross Winter Solstice. It could get worse. COVID pandemic, White Walker, Boku, Foku, Hubert Henry Harrison Hate Awards, the get out of award shows, the sorry to bother you of political analyses. Let's move on with Doctors Burrows and Hate to the next category, which, as I see here, is pandemic quarantine. Last night, a DJ saved my life hater award. Kind of going in a different direction on this one. Kind of in like a semi quarter of the way positive hate in the negating the negation sense of the phrase or the term.
Yup.
Should I give the nominees this time? Is it my turn? Who wants to do the nominees?
Go ahead. Listen, man, since you are the funkinist, you might as well talk about the DJs and what the DJs do. Like, this is come on, son.
So here we go. We have I'll just run through the nominees at least one good time and then we can come back. But the nominees for the pandemic quarantine last night, a DJ Saved My Life Hater Award are DJ D Nice for the club quarantine, DJ Spinner for Stevie Party, DJ Cassidy for what was that called? The memory pass off handoff live mixtape history lesson joint. That thing was vicious. VZ Sets,
the versus set, son.
The verses, is that what it was? I didn't know what that was. The versus sets. Come back and clarify that. Steve McQueen for his series that we've been talking about a lot on with our brothers African Arise and others, and Dr. Ichelli and Swan. The Steve McQueen small act series. Of course, my main man Davey D's quarantine mixes, which have been vicious, which included speaking of dude that some say carried a little bit of my likeness, Jasiri X with Dracos for Baco, and the brother Chris Smalls protesting Amazon, leading a new movement. Of course, we've hosted him at I Mix What I Like Live and on air quit my Amazon Prime account. So D Nice, Spinner, Cassidy, the versus set, Steve McQueen, Davey D, Quarantines Mix, Chris Smalls. We are definitely on the clock for this category. What do you want to say about the folks on this and maybe clarify the versus sets, Dr. Hate?
So first off, D Nice, the 808, we got to go back to self-destruction when he was spinning for that joint, right? D Nice been a part of some movements in hip-hop that has always been counter to the violence against Black people. And we know this to be true. Once we in the greatest bonds of our life, it is the African culture that brings us back to a semblance of sanity. So we knew we had something to look forward to at the night when in the morning you were listening to the bell tolls and who passed, right? Listening to the news and what happened. Eventually, we got smart enough to turn off the news and turn up the DJs. And folks was moving like we used to move in the 70s and 80s, and maybe somebody in the 90s, 2000s up to now still move like that. DJ D Nice put on the music and made people dance in their homes with Club Quarantine. And it became the move, just like any party. Yo, you going to that quarantine set? Were you at that quarantine set? Did you hear what he did? DJ did his thing. And this is why we always give tributes to the DJ. Last night, a DJ saved my life. So right in the same vein, my DJ for life, DJ Spinner, right?
Absolutely.
Who's golden. If y'all had a chance, we talked about it on the radio before. We've had Spinner on the radio before. Go back and listen to the interview with the Spinner. If y'all been to a Spinner set in person, it is like any ring shout in the plantation that you could possibly have, where folks is now free to be in a space where we feeling righteous. And then, Stevie might just pop up and perform a couple sets. And so Spinner brought that to the Quarantine Club series. And I got to also say, D Nice was passing off the tables for other people to get on. It wasn't like he was the only one. He was putting connections in for other DJs to move. That was just a beautiful thing. Big up to the DJs, right? And then DJ Cassidy, of course, like I think you described that well. If folks haven't seen that DJ Cassidy set, the golden eras of hip hop. He took everybody back to Run DMC, re-performing his classic line, and Pass the Mic, thank you. 2 years ago, a friend of mine asked me to say some MC rock, and immediately people was lacing up the fat laces. Right. Folks was like, oh man, LL came on, did a verse. Everybody was doing their best in the classics, right? Live. So it was a beautiful thing. And it's Steve McQueen. Talk a little bit about that, please.
Well, it was just the Small Act series dealing with the African diaspora in the UK primarily. The brother Ellie from Africans Arise and Dr. Zichile and Swan and we had some rousing conversations about just the history and context. Once on my platform here, once on Africans Arise. A lot of, it's interesting. And of course, on the Africans Arise, he also did a more full review just of those films also. So it was good to get to, rap with brothers from that part of the world. Kevin Cobham, the attorney was involved with that too. Anyway, so yeah. So so it was just dope. It was nice. With all of its imperfections, it was a nice, point of departure for us to talk about the African experience in the diaspora, and particularly that part of the world where not a lot of people pay attention, I think, compared to the continent or this side of the diaspora. As the UK doesn't get that much focus, and there's a lot that has gone on that connects very much to the struggles over here. So it was dope. It was dope. For that reason,
the reason I like this joint is it pulled out one of our favorite brothers from the archives back into the present moment. And we saw the return of a mighty hater himself, whose book on Paulo Caramafego could have been up for a book award. It just wasn't a haterful book. It was a masterful book on the travels throughout the African diaspora.
Although I think we could have made the argument that Dr. Swan's book hates on so much so-called Black Power scholarship and so-called
biography.
And so-called biography, exactly.
Wait. You mean when the biography is already written by the person himself in the autobiography, like let's say, Paulo Caramafego, who wrote his own autobiography, like what's that guy's name? Kwame one of them guys' names, right? And then the governor comes along and says, I'm going to write the definitive biography after the autobiography came out.
And not even mention the autobiography.
Well, what I mean is when someone says, I'm writing a biography and doesn't go to where the guy grew up, doesn't interview anybody or barely interviews anybody, doesn't check any documents, doesn't go to the library. It's bad enough we have African-centered scholars who know more about places in Africa than they know more about the document sections in their own libraries. Like it's bad enough that they go to Africa more than they go to the sections of their own libraries where there are documents, right? It's even worse when you have people who then claim, well, I don't even need to know that. I'm a biographer, so I'm just going to write a book. I'm going to do what I want to do, and it's going to be accepted and it's going to get awards. Now, you contrast that with Keto Swan, who, as Dr. Ball, showed in that great interview, he read all the documents, he traveled to those places, he met the villages, he did all of the work. And that's what I'm talking about, a real biography versus a false biography.
That's why it's the Boku Foku. Hate award.
So let me just get this straight. What you saying is Dr. Keto Swan could get the Uncle Traveler Matt Fraggle Rock Winoka Rashidi Pan-African Traveler Award for the 2020 Hate Awards.
That's it.
I'm saying he can get the John Henry Clark Read All the Documents Award, Knows All the Sources Award.
That's important. That's important. Because if we didn't add Keto Swan to this mix, it might be considered hate. But that is not the goal. We're going to seal up all of the places where people think hate can enter. Protect folks, right? Now, let's get back to this list here. Who is our winner for the pandemic quarantine last night? A DJ Saved My Life Hater Award.
By the way, y'all finish it up real quick. I just wanted to say that again, Davey D, a big friend of mine in the program, of course, pioneer in hip hop journalism and broadcasting, broke out. He's got a whole bunch of quarantine mixes that have been fire. And then Chris Smalls, sort of, I guess DJing a labor movement, but by the way, some people, Dr. Ichile mentions Ninth Wonder. There was a couple of shout outs to his work. There was a few that reminded us of some other things that have gone on. So obviously we're not getting everything. A couple votes for DJ Spinner. Oh, we appreciate brother Chad here recognizing 360 Degrees of Hate. We love the puns. We love that. Ear Doctor and Minister Server segments on Renegade Culture absolutely deserve shout outs. D Nice has a vote here. What about Full Blast Radio? An anti-vote for Small Acts. We love that too. Erykah Badu's quarantine concert.
Oh, the verse. We ain't even talk about the verses. The verses was something special, and it will tell you that Black folks know how to get through a hard moment. Now, what that eventually does.
Time on this subject, by the way, on this category. Just we've hit the time.
That's why I gotta address this comment here, right? Yeah, what that eventually does is say that other folks are going to come in and capitalize and commodify and then usurp the power of that movement, right? So I agree. No problem there. We're going to get to this point. I like anxious and ambitious haters who are like, fast forward to the one I want to get to. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But the verses sets
we also
fun.
Appreciate this comment from Ricky Ryan that verses was playing cover for Die. And we get a shout out for the live streams here and for KRS's new album. So we have some late votes, late additions. But are we ready to cast our vote?
Oh yeah. Because to be honest with you, I didn't really like any of the versus artists that they put out there. I just thought it was a good idea. They didn't put the folks that I would want to see at versus, right? Now, I'm never going to vote against DJ Spinner.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
I'm never voting against DJ Spinner.
And that DJ Spinner Stevie party where Stevie showed up in DC is still a top. I don't know, easy top 5 highlight. I don't know if it's higher than that yet in my life. But yeah, that's a tough one. But my man Davey, man, shout out to Davey D. I don't know, but I think I have to go with Spinner on this one too. All right. So that's it. I mean, Todd, you ain't vote, but
I missed all of this, so you guys got to go take this.
So 2 out of 3 anyway. So congratulations to DJ Spinner. Feel free to let the brother know that he is the 2020 winner of the pandemic quarantine last night. The DJ saved my life hate award. Congratulations to him. I'm sure he will value this award greatly. Congratulations. Definitely congratulations.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.